What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Unreal Hour, where you get to sit in on part of my development process. Tonight, we're going to keep working on the new game called What Ravens Like. And from the last episode, you'll notice some changes in the art style. I found these assets, and honestly, I really just fell in love with them. They're still low poly, like the other assets were. However, they are hand painted, which I thought was incredibly charming, incredibly cute. And here is our new little main character guy. Here, this might be a better picture of him, easier to see. He's so cute. Anyway, he's gonna go on a little adventure. But yeah, so what are we working on tonight? So there's two things. One is going to be pretty quick, pretty simple, and I'll show you what it's going to be. So we have our little guy. We gave him a little sword, right? Now, if you go over to this Scarecrow, actually your very first objective is going to be to practice your swordplay by attacking the Scarecrow. And as you attack, you can see he attacks, some little pieces of hay fly off. We got a little impact effect going on. And if we take a look at this Scarecrow, behind the scenes, he has health, and it is set to 60. And we also have here in the event graph for that Scarecrow, anytime he takes damage, we play that little animation, which is just him kind of scaling up slightly and then back down, which is right here. We're also spawning the little poof of hay. And then we are reducing his health. And once his health is less than or equal to 0 and the objective is not already complete, we're setting the objective complete here. And we're getting the game instance, and we are adding completed objective. Now I'm going to alter this later, but not tonight, because what I want to actually introduce and implement is an objective manager. But that's neither here nor there tonight. What I want to do with this Scarecrow is I want to, once the player starts attacking him, I want there to be a little health bar that pops up above his head. And it'll just go down, just a kind of visual aid for the player, telling them how many times essentially they need to hit this Scarecrow. So, excuse me, what we'll do is we'll go into the content drawer. Let's go into UI. We will make a user interface. It's going to be a widget blueprint. It's going to be, we're going to name it W. You know, I might end up reusing this widget a lot. So we'll do this. We'll call it. We'll keep it simple. We'll call it floating health bar. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put down a canvas panel. And then there is a component called a progress bar. So we're going to anchor that right to the middle. We'll go over here. We'll make sure that it's pretty much lined up exactly where it needs to be. We'll tick it up just a little bit. Is it on the, yeah. Yeah. Cool, that's fine. Now the fill color. So let's fill it up just a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Let's go ahead and just make it green. All right. So that's gonna go there. And we'll pause right there for a second. Let's go back to the Scarecrow. Oh, that's old. Let's go to the viewport. Now, let's just attach this to the head since it's gonna be floating above the head anyway. We're going to attach a widget. Call it health bar widget. Now we have to tell it there it is, widget class. We have to tell it which type of widget it's going to be. It's going to be a floating health bar. And so you can see right there, we can pull that up. Now that is really big. So let's go back and we're going to scale this guy down quite a bit. Zoom in some. Yeah, whatever, that's close enough. Go back to the Scarecrow. There we go. I feel like that's much better. Now, we don't want this in world space, we want it in screen space. And so, which basically means it's always going to face the camera. Now, it disappears from here. That's totally fine, okay? Because if we go back here and we hit play, there it is. There's our little dude's health bar, our Scarecrow's health bar. Now we don't want it to do anything yet, and actually, I want to tweak it just a little bit more, make it a little less short, or a little less long, and a little less thin. I think that'll be much better. Let's put it at -51. Yep, there we go. All right, let's try it. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that much better. Cool. All right. So now, for this case in particular, to start with, I want this to be hidden. So it'll be, or I shouldn't say hidden because that's kind of confusing because there's a hidden in game and then a visible. I want it to not be visible, right? And so then on the Scarecrow, the event graph, if let's do so okay, so I'm thinking this through. I want it to show up on the first hit. So I could just put it here, right, and say set visibility, and this is going to get ugly for a second, but just bear with me. So that will technically work, right? So boom, walk up, boom, there it is. It becomes visible. But the problem is that on subsequent play sessions for the user, every time the game boots up, right, that the first time that this is called, it'll make it visible, right? So what we'll do is, okay, got it. So we're going to use this objective is complete Boolean, which will end up getting set by the game state manager when a save state is loaded up. So we can use this, and we will basically say if that should be not. If the objective is not complete, then we will make this thing visible. Let's move everything back just a little bit. Make room. Cool. There's that. And if it's false, it's just going to go here. Because we'll still let the animation and everything play, but we don't want that widget to show up if we've already essentially attacked the Scarecrow. And I'll clean up all this spaghetti later. I don't want to take up our time here though, just trying to make things look pretty. So if the objective is not complete, we will, boom, do that. So next what needs to happen is this floating health bar, right? It has a %, and we can bind that to a variable. So we'll just create a variable, and we'll say, we'll just call it fill %. It's going to be a float, and what the progress bar wants is a value between 0 and 1, so you can see we can tweak it there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bind this thing to fill %. And we're going to initialize fill % to 1. There we go. And we are going to create a function that is simply called set fill %. We're going to make it pass us a float. We'll say new %. And we will simply set that %. Cool. So now we have a function, a public function that's exposed when we have a reference to our widget that will allow us to set this percentage. And did I default it to 1? I did. Okay, cool. So now the Scarecrow, right? So whenever the Scarecrow is hit, sorry, I'm just thinking. Actually, one small tweak. We don't want it to go through the rest of that logic. We just want it to play the animation. So it's going to be like that. Yeah. Yep. In theory, I could play. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Let's be clean about this. Let's take this and we'll do that like that. And we'll just break the false link. And then we can get rid of this. Yep. Cool. That's much better. Since we're always gonna play this, whether it's this value is true or false, we'll just throw it in front of the branch to make sure it always gets played. Okay. Now, every time that we set the health, we need to get the health bar, get the widget, cast to W underscore floating health bar. And we're going to then take this and we're going to call set fill percent. And we'll go here. Ooh, it's getting messy. Okay, so let's move all this stuff down some. Yep. All right, bring that here. Bring that here. All right, so now we're going to calculate the new percent, and it is very simply health divided by 60. And the reason that it's divided by 60 is because that's our Scarecrow's max health. So, boom, we got that. Cool. Let's see if this works. Walk over to the Scarecrow. Boom. And there we go. Boom. And so, let's also do this. One last thing. If the objective is complete, we're just going to take this and we're going to set the visibility to false. Because once he's defeated, we no longer need to see that health bar. So we'll go over, boom, 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 boom. Cool. Health bar disappears. We can still attack. We can still attack without the health bar showing back up. Awesome. We can attack to our heart's content. All right, cool. Now, the big thing that's probably going to fill up the rest of our time tonight is I want to start implementing a dialogue system. So I haven't done anything with that yet. So do a new folder and we're gonna call it Dialog. So open that, we're gonna create a blueprint class. It's gonna be an actor, BP, Dialog Manager. We're just gonna create some of the things that we're gonna need. Then we're gonna need a struct. So call this struct. This is gonna be dialog line. All right, let's open this up. So what we're gonna have is, of course, for dialogue, we're gonna have text, right? So this is going to be dialog text. Then we'll add another variable. What is that? I've never noticed this before. It's a little entry called save game. And I don't know what that does. There's no tooltip for it either. I'll have to look at that. Never noticed that before. Anyway, so we have the dialog text. We have the speaker, so it'll be the name of the speaker. Then we will have I don't want to call it avatar. Essentially an avatar, but we'll call it character. Or no. Okay. Speaker image. And this is going to be a texture 2D. Cool. And then To make this, I need to make one more thing real quick. I need to make a blueprint. I'm sorry, not a blueprint, an enumeration. This is going to be an E. What do we want to call this? Character image position. Essentially, it's just going to be left, middle, right. All right, cool. And then we can go back to the struct, and the next variable is going to be speaker image position. Cool. And then that's going to be the E character image position. Yep, there we go. All right, so text, speaker image. Ooh, this will be fun, maybe. Text color. Maybe we want to have, is it just color? Is that all it is? Yeah. Yeah, it should be fine. Okay. So we have all of these things now. Let's clear out some of these tabs. Crystal, don't need the boy, don't need the objective manager, don't need the new objective, don't need the floating health bar. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and open up the dialog manager. Let's move him here. I don't really need that anymore either. Okay, so now let's make our UI. So we're going to make a new widget, w underscore dialog. All right, let's design this guy. So we're going to need the canvas. And then we're going to need, actually, let me look at something real quick because I want to know, I was making a UI earlier today and I want to know what I used for the border radius. Okay, I used 10 and then let's make that an even 5. Okay, cool. So now what am I doing? Let's make and let's do an overlay. And then we can take this and it's going to be anchored to the bottom. Let's see, right about there. Yeah, that'll be good. All right. So basically, this is where the text is going to go. So let me add a border here. The border is going to fill everything. We're going to draw it as a rounded box. It's going to need a fixed radius. The corner radius is, what did I say it was? 10? I think it was 10. Right? Yeah, sure. And then the outline was 5. And it needs to be not clear. It needs to be black. Turn the alpha up. Sweet, now we've got a nice rounded black outline. Now I do want to keep my coloring consistent, so I'm going to use the little brush sampler. Sample that color. Sweet. So we've got that. That's fine. Okay. Now we need some images. So we're going to put an image here, and they're all going to be anchored to the bottom center. Let's see, how big do I want this? Probably like that, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. So what are we at? We're almost at 300. Let's see what an even 300 looks like. Sweet. All right. But I need this overlay. I need the Z order to be higher than the images. Cool. So we're gonna duplicate that, and then we're gonna duplicate that. Sweet. All right. So we got this. What is the position Y for this? There we go. And the position X is gonna be, does that look pretty close? I need it right on line with that that line. It's very tricky. There we go. That'll be fine. And this is gonna help me on the other side, I think, as well. So I'm gonna pull this one in just a smidge to try to get it to line up with this. Oh my gosh, it's so finicky. Let's try negative 635. Oh, too far. Negative 640. Cool. We'll keep it there. It's just inside the line. Now we'll take this one. Ooh, take this one. Boom. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. I think all of these need to come up just a little bit, but first let's steal that position Y. Awesome. Now let's go up a little bit. Cool. We'll bring this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. All right, so this is image left. This is image right. This is image middle. Cool. All right. So we've got an overlay. Oh, text. Yep. Throw the text in the overlay. The color is going to be just black. Font family is Friendly Scribbles. It's going to be centered there. Or no. Yeah. Centered. Yes. Okay, yeah. And then what am I looking for? Auto wrap. Auto wrap the text. Yep. Default wrapping. So this essentially is just if the line of dialogue goes outside the box, it will wrap it to the next line. The only thing left is to put who's speaking somewhere. I'm almost thinking that I might duplicate this, shrink it way down, put it like right there. Yeah, I like that. So it's annoying. I want it to fill, but I also want it to be... Oh, yeah, that's right. That's how you do it. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, boom, boom, boom. We got that. Yeah. I'm thinking. Sorry. Taking a moment. Yep, okay. I think that's right. So, now what we need to do is set line of dialog. And this function is going to simply pass in our, rather an instance of our structure, our dialog line, right? All right, so we've got that. Then we're going to take this, we're gonna break it so that we have access to all of our stuff. Excuse me one moment. All right, so then, oh, I need to, all of these things need to be variable. This will be text dialog. This will be text speaker. And it is variable. Cool. So now we go over here and we go text dialog and we say set text. And so we're just going to take our dialog text, plug it in there. And we're essentially going to do this for each one. Text speaker, set text. Then we've got, okay, so then we need to take the speaker image and we're going to switch on it. Actually, first, before we do that, let's take care of the text color. Set color and opacity. It's gonna, only exactly, what does this want? A slate color structure. I knew something was up with that. There should be a slate color. Alright, cool. That should be happy now. Compile. Woo! Alright, so we're setting the text and the color. Then we're setting the text and the color. Okay, cool. Then we're taking, so we've got left, middle, right. I had a thought and then I lost it. That's okay. It doesn't. Oh, wait. That's not what I wanted. I wanted the function set color and opacity. There we go. Cool. Okay. So if it is the left, that's That's right. That's what it was. If Yeah, okay. So I want the default color to be black there, just in case if no color is provided, or if we want it to be black, that is the default color now. So left, okay. Image left, image middle, image right. So if we're on the left, set visibility is going to be visible. And then these guys, we're going to do the same thing. However, these guys are not going to be visible, they're going to be hidden. And so we're basically going to do this for all three of these. Except we're going to change which one is the visible one. So for this one, it's going to be the middle, image right and left. For these are going to be the invisible ones, the hidden ones. And then for down here, the right one is going to be visible. And the middle and the left are going to be hidden. And then the last thing is if we're on the left, we're going to take the left and we're going to set set textures, set wait, what? Set brush from texture. There we go. And the texture is going to be the speaker image. Match size. If true, image will change its size to the texture size. If false, texture will be stretched. Okay, we're going to leave this false because we want the image, or I'm sorry, the texture to be stretched to the image size. And so I'm going to make sure personally that all of the images that we use for character images are perfect squares. That way it never seems like any weird kind of aspect ratio issues. Oh goodness, excuse me. Alright, cool. I'm just gonna create a little reroute pin. And this one is the image middle. This one is the image right. Cool. I probably should promote this to a variable. And yep. I'm gonna name it the same thing, but I just don't like those spaces in there. Cool. Boom. Alright, so now we have a variable reference to it if we ever need it for anything else. Yep. I always feel like UI code gets the ugliest. I don't know why. I don't know why that always happens, but whatever. It's fine. So we've got line of dialogue. So let's test this out real quick. Let me do new window. So I'm going to, on another page, I'm just going to grab 3 different character avatar things. Character square avatar PNG. Literally a square, an avatar that's a square. Awesome. I didn't really want him to have a background, but I guess it doesn't really matter since we're just playing around with it. Oh, here we go. These guys look weird. Let's use them. Alright, let me save these real quick. No, not as a web file. No, just save them as a PNG. No. Everything I click on is trying to save as a file type that Unreal's not gonna like. Nope. Alright, so nothing from Vecteezy is gonna work. You know what? I don't even care. It's getting so annoying trying to find a sample image that I don't even care what it looks like. Dialog. Cool. Let me pull in this photo real quick. Boom. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to, okay, so we've got our dialog manager. So we're going to create a function here that's going to be called play dialog. Play dialog lines. That'll work. And as an input, it's going to take in some dialog lines. So struct dialog line, but it's going to be an array. Alright, so we're going to take this, promote it to a variable. It's going to be called current dialog lines. Cool, so we've set that. Then at this point we need to create a widget, and it is going to be of class dialog. Then we're going to add it. No, first we're going to, what is that thing? Set line of dialog, right. So let's do this. Let's make one more variable. Current dialog index. It's going to be an integer. Okay, so whenever we start a new set of dialog lines, we're going to set the array of lines. We're also going to make sure that our index is back at 0. And then we're going to do a get get a copy of the current dialog index. We're going to pass that to there. And then once that's ready, we're going to add to viewport. And actually what we should have done here is promoted this to a variable. And it's going to be dialog widget. Oops. Boom. Boom. Break all the pinlet. Oops. Okay, that one's fine. Then we're going to set line of dialog, and then we're going to add it to the viewport. All right, and so just for testing, what we'll do is we'll throw the dialog manager in here, and we'll do like a on event begin play. We're just gonna kind of do a test call of our thingamabob. And this will be make array. And this will be make struct. We're just going to give it one thing for now. And it's going to be called, this is going to be, hi, I'm a dialog line. It's so nice to meet you. All right. The speaker is going to be, it's the dialog manager talking to you. How lovely. Then, get out over here. The speaker image is just going to be that little photo we did. We grabbed. Let's make a slate color. What color do you want it to be, guys? You want it to be, let's do like a dark purple. That'll be cool. Purple, wee, sweet, something like that. I don't know. All right. So we're gonna play dialog lines. Cool. All right. Let's see if this works. Hey, look at that. We've got dialogue. Hi, I'm a dialog line. It's so nice to meet you. All right, so you can see the images over here. Now, if we were to change this to middle, now the speaker's in the middle. If we were to change it to the right, and there we go. So we've got a reasonably almost fully functional dialogue system. The only thing missing would be the ability to like click to the next one. So let's write that function real quick. We've got about 10-ish minutes left here in this session. So let's call this advanced dialog. So it's just going to be a function that we can call. And all it's going to do is it's going to take our current dialog index. It's going to increment it. And then we're going to use that. First, we need to do a check, actually. If it is greater than, Ooh, it's late. My brain is not mathing. If we have 3 items in an array, and the index is 2, that's the last one. So yeah, okay. So if it's greater than or equal to the length of our current dialog lines, let's do it the other way. If it's less than, then we'll put the branch. If it's less than, then we're just gonna get the current, get a copy of the new index, and we're gonna get our dialog widget. We're gonna call set where is it? Set line of dialog. Cool. There's that. Yep. Then, if it's false, basically we're done with the conversation. And so for one, we'll get this. We will definitely remove from parent. So that takes the widget off of the screen. And then we can set that to be null. Then we can take this, and I know that we set it here and we set it here, but sometimes redundancy can be good, especially if it's just simple, like set an index to 0. All right, so we remove from parent, we clean up our variable references, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an event dispatcher, and it's going to be called dialog on dialog complete dispatcher. We're simply going to take this and we're going to call. So that anyone that needs to know when dialog is finished can basically just bind themselves to this dispatcher, and when we call it, it'll let them know, like, hey, the dialog's done. If you need to do any kind of cleanup, now is your chance. So now we need a way to actually advance it. Don't know that we'll get through it, but let's give it a shot anyway. We'll at least get started. So let's go to blueprints. Oh, this is kind of fun. In one of the earlier Unreal Hour sessions, I said something along the lines of, like, I hate, like, just straight up lifting code that you didn't write and using it elsewhere, because you end up feeling like locked into that code, and sometimes without even thinking about it. So I was having an issue where every once in a while with the boy, I would be pushing just up. So he should have been running directly up, but he would be slightly skewed and running off to the side. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why I was doing that. And then it occurred to me that when I lifted the movement input controls from the third person character, it was calling get control rotation and then getting the right vector from the control rotation. Now, I admittedly don't know what it is about the different interactions that can change the control rotation, but somehow and in some way, the control rotation was getting slightly off, and then it was getting the right vector from that slightly off rotation. And so when I would plug in the direction, he would be running like off to the side instead of straight up. So I just broke that connection. I said, no. I always want your right vector to be 0, 1, 0. Always, no matter what. And I did the same thing here for the forward vector. Your forward vector is always going to be 1, 0, 0. And that's exactly what I was like fearful of in that first session of when it comes to lifting code that you didn't write, because you're not always thinking about the ins and outs. You're just like, oh, it works, okay, yeah, I'll just use it here. And excuse me. In case in point, that can be very detrimental sometimes. I pounded my head on the wall, against the keyboard, against the monitor, everything, until that little tidbit hit me. All right, so I'm going to try to use the controller for this. What I would like to do is create an enumeration called controller state. And it will be possessing character. One will be in dialog. And the other one that I know of that I'm going to need is in menu. And so we're going to go in the controller. We're going to create this. It's going to be controller state. Controller state. Yep. And so by default, we would be in possessing character. But where is that input at? Jump input. Here we go. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to come here. I'm going to put this down. And when we receive this input, based on the controller state, that's going to determine what our action is, right? So on started, if our what are we doing? All right, so basically, okay, let me do this first. Add a custom event. It's going to be called start jump. And then another custom event called stop jump. And basically, that's going to go here. Start jump's going to go there. So it's coming off of the started and completed. Let's go to the controller. If we're possessing the character, we are event on possess. Forgot that we needed to do that. Possess pawn cast to boy. And then, oh, we're hitting an hour. Dang it. Cast to the boy. And so then we're going to get the boy. And if we're possessing the character, it's going to be start jump. When it's canceled, I'm going to do this again. When it's canceled, if we're possessing the character, we're going to stop the jump. Right, so we're, okay, yep. And so basically what's going to happen, we don't have time to implement it tonight, but what we're going to do is essentially, so how we have a reference to the boy and we call start or stop jump. If we're in the dialog state, what we would do is we would call the dialog manager and we would call its function advanced dialog. That's essentially what we would be doing. Don't have time to finish it here tonight because we are 1 minute over an hour. But once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed the Unreal Hour. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you see something here and you would like a more in-depth tutorial, leave that in the comments too. If I have time, I'll absolutely consider making some legitimate tutorials as opposed to just letting you guys sit in and watch the process. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in.